finding the equation of a line given 2 points with a graphics calculator. For example, find the equation of the line passing through 2, 1 and 4, 10. Now this would also work if you were given the y-intercept. You'd just have to give the y-intercept as 0, whatever the y-intercept was. This is a pretty good method, often just for checking your work, or if you get good at it, it's faster than finding the gradient, substituting into a point, and finding the y-intercept. So it's actually a pretty good method. And it does need us to follow a bunch of steps, which you would probably have to write down on a notes page if you wanted to use it. So, what we'll do is we'll use our graphics calculator to draw a scatter plot just with these 2 points. We'll basically just graph these 2 points on the graphics calculator, and we'll ask our graphics calculator to find the line that joins them. So the way we do this is you go into Stat and Edit. So on this calculator here, Stat, Statistics, and Edit, so Enter for our first one. And in L1 and L2, we're going to put each point. The X goes in L1, the Y goes in L2. So my first point, 2, Enter. Now don't put the 1 here. The 1 has to go in L2, where the Y goes. So my first point is in. My second point is 4, 10. 4 in the L1, 10 next to it in L2. Quit out of that. So, Stat and Edit. Put the X value in L1 and Y value in L2 for both points. So, if we went straight to graphing, then we'd get things wrong. There's a couple of things you do need to check first. Firstly, you've got to make sure that anything in Y1 is gone. So this is just to make sure you're not trying to graph two different things. So Y equals, and delete all lines. That's anything in any of the Y equals. Hop back out of that. Then you've got to turn scatter plots on. So to get into scatter plots, it's second stat plot, which is above Y equals. So there's stat plot above Y equals, second and Y equals to get into there. And this is stat plots, and you see they're all turned off. We're going to need to turn one of them on. So highlight stat plot 1 and enter to go into it. So 1 and enter gets into stat plot 1, and I've got to turn it on. Highlight on, it's usually going to be flashing, but just you can double check with that cursor, and hit enter. Now it's flicked to on. So on and enter. Check that the type is this scatter plot, the first one. It should be highlighted, don't go changing these around. Everything else stays the same. All you've done is turn that on and quit out of that. So this has just turned on scatter plots. Now, to graph, I told you this one already, you do zoom 9, and that graphed those 2 points for you. So I'll just put a little comment in there. This turns on scatter plots. This graphs the 2 points. And Then we're going to do a calculation which asks us, please give me the line that goes through here. Stat, move across to calc, and what you want is linreg 4. So you just move across to calc. You can move down and highlight 4 and hit enter, or if you're up here you can just go 4. Let me write those steps down for you. We're going to have to calculate in a minute. But stat, move across to calc and select 4. That gets us to here, and all you need to do is move down to calculate, so it's highlighted, and press enter. I'm just going to write that down and we'll talk about what this means. So you move down to calculate and press enter, and what that gives you is it says if we're using y equals ax plus b, where a is our gradient and b is our y-intercept, a is 4.5 and b is -8, and they, actually don't really need another asterisk there, get answer. So you'd write y equals ax plus b. You pretty much write down the display. A equals 4.5, b equals -8, and then you, so I've just copied down my display. Therefore, y equals 4.5x minus 8. That's it. So all the working you actually need to do, this is not working. This is just how you get this through the graphics calculator. All you would need to do is write this, the line, and say from GC. So that by doing this, writing out the display and saying from graphics calculator, it says you've done an appropriate method and here is your answer. That is the working I'd need to see if you wanted to find the equation of a straight line with your graphics calculator. May I suggest that you really learn how to do this, actually do it for the whole exercise where it tells you to do it, because it's a very useful strategy.